War is what happens when language fails. It's a powerful statement by the author Margaret Atwood, perfectly fitting the ongoing rift in US-Iran relations. It's a rivalry that has shaped global politics, a history that has been marked by sanctions, nuclear threats, and military confrontations. The United States and Iran have been locked in a battle for power, influence, and survival. But what exactly ignited the fire between the United States and Iran? For that, we have to go back into history, and in fact to the early 20th century, when the United States had a close strategic relationship with Iran and when their ties were relatively stable. During the Second World War, the Anglo-Soviet invasion of Iran weakened the Iranian monarchy. During the Second World War, the Anglo-Soviet invasion weakened the Iranian monarchy, forcing Reza Shah Pahlavi to abdicate in favor of his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. You might want to remember that name. During the Cold War, the United States viewed Iran as a critical ally against Soviet expansion. Until 1950, relations between America and Iran remained strong. But in 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh, a democratically elected leader, became Iran's prime minister. Now, Mossadegh was a socialist, and one of his landmark actions was the nationalization of Iran's oil industry, which until then had been controlled by the British through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Now, this move aimed to ensure that Iran benefited more directly from its own vast oil resources, which would also address long-standing economic grievances. However, Britain feared that this would threaten its economic interests. The nationalization of oil led to severe international backlash. In response, the CIA and MI6 orchestrated a military coup in Iran. They launched what became known as Operation Ajax to overthrow Mossadegh and reinstate the Shah as Iran's absolute ruler. On August 19, 1953, the coup succeeded, removing Mossadegh and restoring Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi to authoritarian rule. Now, this intervention has left a lasting impact on US-Iran relations because it's fostered a deep-seated resentment among Iranians against foreign interference in their country. Under the Shah, Iran became increasingly autocratic, with heavy US and British support. He introduced Savak, the secret police force, which brutally suppressed dissent, which further fueled public anger against him. All of that changed, though, in 1979, when the historic Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini emerged as the revolution's leader and established an Islamic republic with a strong anti-Western leaning. The new government adopted an anti-American stance and accused the United States of decades of interference in its politics. It also took an anti-Israel position, viewing Israel as an illegitimate state. After the revolution, Iran began supporting various militant groups opposed to Israel and America's influence in West Asia. This includes names that we know today, Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. And these alliances led to numerous conflicts, significantly increasing tensions between Iran, Israel, and America. For instance, Iran's support for Hezbollah played a key role in regional confrontations and wars with Israel, which raised fears of broader conflicts in the region. So Iran became one of America's biggest security concerns, both in West Asia and in fact anywhere in the world. This only got worse in the 1990s, when Iran began developing its nuclear program. In the 1990s, Iran's nuclear activities became a focal point of international concern. And even later in 2002, revelations about Iran's clandestine nuclear facilities at Natanz and Arak raised global alarms. Since these sites had not been declared to the International Atomic Energy Agency, suspicions grew over potential nuclear weapons development by Iran. The IAEA launched investigations, and Iran faced increasing scrutiny and even sanctions from America. For well over a decade, relations between Iran and the West became increasingly difficult. But there was finally a breakthrough. In 2015, Iran and a number of other nations, including the United States, came to an agreement known as the JCPOA. It is also known as the Iranian nuclear deal. Under this agreement, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. Now, this marked a significant, though temporary, thaw in US-Iran relations. However, in 2018, under President Donald Trump, the United States unilaterally withdrew from the Iranian nuclear deal. It reinstated sanctions on Iran and escalated tensions. Basically, Donald Trump and other American hardliners like him argued that the earlier agreement gave Iran too much in return for too little. Iran responded by resuming certain nuclear activities. And since then, tensions between Iran and America have only gotten worse. From 2020 onwards, US-Iran relations were marked by military confrontations and strategic assassinations. For example, on January 3, 2020, the United States conducted a drone strike near Baghdad International Airport, killing Major General Qasem Soleimani, commander of Iran's Quds Force and one of the country's most famous soldiers. President Trump stated that Soleimani was planning imminent attacks on American diplomats and military personnel. In response, Iran launched missile attacks on US military bases in Iraq, including the Al-Asad Air Base. These strikes caused traumatic brain injuries to several US service members, but it resulted in no fatalities. Now, this exchange of hostilities brought the United States and Iran to the brink of war. Now, this policy was known as Trump's maximum pressure policy. Now, tensions between Israel and Iran have also intensified significantly, particularly in 2024. On April 1, 2024, Israel conducted an airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, the capital of Syria, and killed multiple senior Iranian officials. Iran retaliated by launching over 300 drones and missiles directly at Israel. Just a few weeks later, Israel responded with strikes targeting locations in Iran and Syria, further escalating the conflict. Throughout these events, the United States has played a critical role by supporting Israel and providing it diplomatic cover. This has only deepened US-Iran hostilities, bringing them closer to direct confrontation. Of course, in recent days, things have gotten more serious. Donald Trump has threatened Iran with bombings if it does not come to the negotiating table, and in retaliation, Iran has also warned of serious consequences in the event of an American attack. Remember that these threats are not just hot air. Israel has reportedly been considering military strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities for years. Over the last few years, Iran has gotten closer and closer to developing a genuine nuclear weapons capability. And that's where things stand now. Donald Trump doesn't want another war in West Asia, and Iran does not want to tangle with Israel and America. But the two countries are unable to find the language that they need to get to a middle ground. The US-Iran conflict is rooted in decades of intervention, revolution, war, and ideological differences. While diplomatic efforts have occasionally eased tensions, fundamental issues, nuclear ambitions, proxy wars, and regional power struggles continue to fuel hostilities. The question remains, will the US and Iran find a path to peace? Or will history repeat itself in a brutal cycle of conflict and confrontation?